Hello, my name is Justin Decloux, and I'm here today with
Will Sloan.
And you're listening to The Important Cinema Club. And today we are talking about a heavy subject, so I should say that right from the get-go. We are discussing the films of Anne Charlotte Robertson, and they deal with suicide, depression, self-harm. You know, if you're listening and you're very sensitive to that, I would maybe skip this episode.
But she is somebody who I was not aware of until about 2 weeks ago. Somebody wrote in to recommend the films, and then, of course, I checked Letterboxd and found out that, everyone I respect has seen these movies and loves them already. I've heard from other listeners that she's very popular online with certain cinephiles who are younger than us. She's popular in Discord channels. She's popular on whatever, subterranean means of cinephilia, file sharing, that sort of thing. Often with people who are young, people who have experienced depression or who are bipolar and have identified with the themes and feelings in her films.
And I think the reason for that is that her magnum opus is a, very pure and direct form of what we consume now as videos on social media of her talking directly to the camera. They're diary films, but she's very direct. They're also very quickly edited as well with a bunch of thoughts, almost like it's part of that TikTok generation.
Oh my goodness.
You're a teenager and you see that, and it's already speaking a visual language that you understand, but I think it also feels more real because of the time and place it was filmed and even just the analog media that it was captured on.
Now, there's not too much to say about Anne Charlotte Robertson's life and backstory, partly because there's not that much that's available, and partly because she really lived in her cinema. And, there are some people, we might say that Jonas Mekas, for example, was a diary filmmaker who documented his life. There are people like this, but I feel like even more than someone like him, her films are true diary films. They're I think she has said in interviews that she made the films to keep herself sane, that she wanted to chronicle everything in her life, the momentous, the quotidian, and everything you need to know about her really is in the films. But I will say she was born in 1949. She lived in the Boston area. She spent most of her life living in a house with her mother. Not necessarily her dream scenario.
No, she mentions in one of the diary films that she was classified as temporarily disabled many times in her life. And that her diaries are often kind of like a cycle that she goes through and that she talked about in the very few interviews that she did in her life. I think one of the reasons that there's not that much documentation is that while she was, got attention from people during her life, she never got any kind of attention like most of the major experimental filmmakers who can kind of live off grants and other things like that.
She had some grants, I think.
Very few.
Yeah.
But she got a Guggenheim Fellowship in the 2000s.
Her major work is called The 5 Years Diary. It was produced between 1981 and 1997. It is 36 hours long, and very, very few people have seen all 36 hours.
It only screened in its entirety, and this is the way that she wanted it to be shown, 3 times as a marathon, and that you were supposed to go to a screening, and the screening room was filled with mementos of her childhood, and then you would sit there, you would watch the movie, and this is very important, she would narrate the film at the back of the room and give you context as the things play.
She made some other films as well, and most people have experienced her work via scans that were made available by the Harvard Film Archive. When she died of lung cancer in 2012, she donated her life's work to the Harvard Film Archive, and they've been, gradually making it restored and available.
I think those leaked, and that Harvard Film Archive is probably not happy that they're out there. Some of them are watermarked with property of Harvard Film Archive, to which I say, what the hell is going on? If she donated her entire life, they should scan it and make it available to everyone, not have to pay an exorbitant fee to rent something that they did not make.
Preacher, meet choir. So the 5 Year Diary has typically been consumed as individual reels, and it's also been conceived that way. There will be one called, for example, Reel 31, Niagara Falls, August 19th to 28th, 1983. These reels will run about, 25, 27 minutes or so. There's another one that's called Reel 80, Emily Died, 1994, and it's 27 minutes. The titles will be very, blunt like that.
I'm curious to know that, like, if you go looking for it online, you'll often find them in like 90-minute packages. And I wonder who edited them together. Like, one of them that we both watched for this episode is thematically linked throughout it. And there's 4 different reels that jump large periods of time. Did she do that? I did read in some interviews she would sometimes show them out of order. So maybe that, like, as she went through her life, she figured it out, and she did continue to edit them a little bit as she went along.
But what more can I tell you about her? She studied at the Massachusetts College of Arts in the 1980s. Some of her contemporaries included Carolee Schneemann. Most, if not all, of her work was produced on Super 8 film, at the time the most consumer-friendly, democratic form of filmmaking.
And I think it's interesting that she continued to shoot on Super 8 even when, you know, VHS became more available. I don't know if it's maybe because she didn't have access to VHS, but even when, like, you know, Betacam, mini DVs coming into it, she's still stuck with Super 8 the entire time.
And when you watch a lot of her work in a row, first of all, it's quite an emotional experience to see her age, you know, through the course of it.
And it's all about that she continually brings that up, like her age and how she feels ugly and that her life is behind her.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm getting to next, which is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. There are the constant repetition of certain themes. We're constantly back in the garden. You know, the garden and the cats are these kind of like grounding forces in her life. And they are distractions, maybe that's the wrong word, but they're there as a counterpoint, at least, or a complication to the overwhelming pain and misery of life.
Now, if you watch some of her early shorts, like Suicide, it is just a primal scream of, like, someone who is probably as depressed as you can be. Suicide, like, starts with footage of her filming people digging a hole, and she's like, they're digging my grave. And then it's just a repetition. There's a light at one point that's just flashing, and she just repeats stuff of, like, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself.
So I think this is one of the reasons why, I mean, there are a lot of reasons why her films resonate, particularly with younger audiences. This is one of them. I mean, I don't suffer from clinical depression, but I've, of course, talked to many people who have, and these films seem to articulate what it's like. It's that voice in your head telling you, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself.
Yeah. And it can never go away. It can have variations of that. I think Suicide is interesting in that it's kind of her finding her voice, because there's some stage sequences in this short of, like, I believe it's her, right? That, like, she made a tableau of having killed herself by a toilet that's just covered in blood, mixed in with the more kind of, like, experimental diary style of picking moments and editing them together to create emotion. But even right from Suicide, you have that style that she goes back to, is that to create an emotional connection, the idea of repetition, of that the same ideas over and over again. And as like Will said, that's the voice in people's heads. And that's something that film has always had a very difficult time in expressing, because it can get monotonous. It can be like, why am I watching this? And that when you're looking for something that you can connect with, maybe some people say, oh, but why would I continue doing this? Won't this drive the audience away? But because of the way that she does it, instead it brings people forward and it lets people know a lot of people go through this. And me, just this raw way that I'm putting it out there, this is who I am. This may be you too as well.
And I think what I really connected to in these movies, and which honestly at times moved me almost to tears in these movies, is there is a close relationship between awfulness of the world, the things that are terrible and unbearable in the world, and the things that are beautiful in the world. And these things are densely intertwined, and they never cancel each other out. They coexist. And that sound in your head, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, as you say, it gets quieter, and then it gets louder, and then it gets quieter, and then it gets louder, but it's never fully gone. At the same time, the garden is beautiful. The cat is a beautiful companion. The little girl who died, her memory is a blessing, but it's also fucking unbearable. And being in that emotional space, I felt so true.
There's nothing, even though the films are very tightly edited, that like it's like little moments here or there, and like the way it interconnects and creates meaning is fascinating, especially that we are not watching them in the way that she intended, because I cannot imagine what living in that for 36 hours would be if you watch it chronologically in the way that she wanted it to be shown.
Well, I experienced her films the way I experience most experimental filmmakers.
On your laptop?
On my laptop at home, and also completely out of order. So it's like I watched a compilation of, Anne Charlotte Robertson collected shorts, which come from all across her career. And I didn't read anything about her before going in, except knowing that she'd made this 36-hour film.
I should let people know as well that her shorts can be very funny as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's important about, like, you hear us talk about this and you're like, oh God, it's so emotional. Is it just like punishing the entire way?
No, the range of emotions is incredibly rich. I mean, they're beautiful, they're horrible, they're funny, often at the same time.
Like in that short collection that you're talking about, I believe it starts with suicide, and then there's Talking to Myself, which is her double exposing a conversation with herself. And what's funny about that short is it boils down to her yelling at herself of setting it up incorrectly so she can't make her short.
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's another one called Magazine Mouth.
Yes.
Which that was, I think, the first one I saw.
Wow, that sets up odd expectations for what follows.
Yeah, I was completely, I thought, oh, I get it. She's a sort of like
stop motion,
Stan Vanderbeek, Terry Gilliam-ish animation style. It's like, that's a stop motion animation where it's about her complicated relationship with her weight, with food, with body image. But it's done in that like cut and paste style.
Yeah, stop motion and
it's very funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. And from there you have probably something that is clearer about like how the rest of her filmography would play out. Depression Focus Please, which I believe people have said was included in the 36-hour marathon screening.
Yeah, and I mean, how would you describe this? It's a lot of different images, diary film style, and it's her narrating it basically in like a severe depressive episode, talking about how sometimes I don't answer the phone. How could I hold a job when I sleep till late in the afternoon? I don't get much mail anymore. It's Christmas when this is happening. So she's thinking like, what is Christmas to someone who's depressed?
It's like a condensed version of what she does in her diary films, where it's just like unadorned of any brief moment of happiness or joy and just the depression.
And visually, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Like a Jonas Mekas film, she has a beautiful eye. She has a great eye for the beauty and the quotidian. And there's the frustration that she's expressing of everything around me is beautiful.
Why do I feel so bad?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have kind of like more, out there experimental works in that like they may not fit within the construct of what she's most famous for, like Subways, which is just a subway ride.
So Subways, which is an early one, it's 1976. I was kind of unexpectedly blown away by this one because on the face of it, it's classic experimental film stuff.
And you can look on like Vimeo, YouTube, search experimental film. You will see dozens of ones just riding the subway.
The platonic ideal of an experimental film is this. It's 8mm, black and white. You see, you're at the end of a subway train. You see the tunnel disappear in the distance. There are lights illuminating the shaft, but it's very, very high contrast black and white. So after a while, the lights become kind of meaningless. The darkness becomes meaningless.
Yeah, but the camera also is kind of like zooming in a little bit until it becomes formless. And if you came in halfway through, you wouldn't know what you're looking at.
And yeah, I say I was kind of blown away by this. I didn't expect to love this so much, but I think it captures a certain kind of feeling. It's like, okay, we're on the subway and I don't really care where we're going, and we're being enveloped by darkness, just further and further and further and further into darkness. And I'm kind of just being lulled along into it. And there's a particular emotional state that's captured here that it is depressive. I don't think it's just that though.
No,
there's like, you're almost like in a womb.
Her early films, this includes Going to Work, which is just like her filming a depressing journey through like snow-filled like nothingness in the city.
I love this too. Yeah.
I think that in these early shorts, she's trying to find visual ways to express the way that she feels, when later on she would literalize it by showing herself vocalizing it and creating it through montage.
So for example, 1990s Apologies.
So good.
It's great.
It's 1990s, but what makes this one work is that it's over a decade of different footage that she has taken through all the shorts that she's made.
Yeah, her apologizing over and over
for 15
again.
minutes.
And apologizing to you, the viewer, for watching this film.
She even says, like, I apologize for the short being too long.
Apologizing to her phantom mystery lover who may be out there somewhere. This is another thing that keeps coming back over and over again.
When we get to the diary, I actually made notes of, like, what are the things that keep coming up again and again and again.
Yeah, and so, there's, as you say, this is an evolutionary work where it starts with this kind of abstract, non-literal attempt to capture an emotion, and then by the end, she's very direct.
So 5 Year Diaries, it was shot over 15 years, and when asked why she called it 5 Year Diaries, she said, when I reached the 5-year point, it didn't have a happy ending yet, and so that's why I kept shooting.
Painful.
It's painful.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for someone's real life, it doesn't really get happier as it goes along.
No. So, I mean, we could talk about some of these. We didn't watch, we watched several of them.
Yeah, I watched some of the early ones, and they are very focused on her struggles with weight gain, and that, like, she would gain weight, and then she would go on a wild diet, and then she would binge. And then she'd go back to it. And, like, so that's what the early one, and you can see her trying to figure out, like, in these edits, like, what story am I trying to tell? Am I going to focus on just one thing? Like, in these early reels, she also, like, shows her family having dinner. She did start her diaries, and then her father passed away, and I think that really changed how she approached these things. From the ones that we have, and because she didn't give that many interviews, a lot of the information about her life that you wouldn't assume can kind of come out of nowhere when you watch these shorts. So I think the ones that me and Will are going to talk about the most was 5 Year Diary, Reel 23, and then, I don't have it. It's the one where she goes to Niagara right after.
That's Reel 31.
And then Reel 80, which is Emily Died. And then, is that followed by Reel 81, Morning Emily?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that was like, it's 90 minutes. If you can find the file out there, it's all of them connected together. And again, I don't know if she did this, but it makes so much thematic sense of the way, like, the emotions that it goes through, that it doesn't feel accidental that these were all put together.
And yeah, Reel 23, a breakdown and after the mental hospital.
Yeah. And this is something that she talks about in the interview that we both read that was included in a monograph written about her, is that, she said that she would have a breakdown every fall, and that, like, she couldn't avoid it, and that for 3 months she would often have to be put in a mental hospital.
The asylum was not good.
No.
She would be put on drugs against her will.
Yeah.
She alludes to having been almost raped. That's what she says.
The reason she avoided drugs is she hated the side effects that she would have when she was on them.
Right.
And that, like, she even has a short where she documents, like, her visualization of those side effects, but you also see it in the shorts as well.
In this early short, A Breakdown and After the Mental Hospital, she talks about moving in with her mother. This is around the time she moved in with her mother after her father passed away. She says, since my father died, I was an ex-boyfriend who came over, which is one of many evocative, very sad, but not just sad things she says.
But I need to clarify again. If you watch this short, you may, like, especially this one, you'll go, wait, how am I supposed to watch this? Because these shorts can have 3 layers, which is you can hear the audio that she had sometimes when she had a mic on her camera. You can also, sometimes she records disconnected audio from around that time. Like, I believe it's this one that after she gets out of the hospital, a lot of it, you hear a therapy session that she's having. It's not very decipherable, but in her narration, which is the 3rd level, she explains what you're hearing.
And these 3 audio layers are overlaid on top of each other.
But pro tip, if you watch these, if you put earphones in, they actually come out of either ear.
Yes.
So if you want to listen to one, you can take it out. But I think that as human beings, you can actually focus on which one you want to listen to. If you would see it in the theater, I feel like you would be overwhelmed by
I agree. But with headphones, it's a great experience.
But if you saw it in theaters, she would be talking at the back of the theater. So it wouldn't be, like, layered in the video itself.
And sometimes she contradicts herself.
She does.
If you pay close attention, because in a later film, she's talking about, a character who dies. Her top level narration is talking about how sad it is. And then there's a lower level narration that I guess is, like, from recorded on the day, where she's imagining a different version of reality. She's imagining a different version of events where that person is still alive. And these 2 things are layered on top of each other. And it's much easier to hear her later narration, but the other thing is there. And that juxtaposition is haunting.
So she has said in the few interviews she gave that she did these diaries because she felt sometimes when she put it out in the world, the voices would stop talking to her. That once she kind of like put it on film, and especially if she could watch it, she'd be like, okay, like I can move on to something else. These things never went away. There's no cure to these things. It's not like you're capturing it on film. But that's why she said she had to kind of like continually do this. And, you know, she talks a lot about that, like making these diaries was a cost prohibitive thing. And she says in a lot of the shorts, she's like, it's like 85 cents a second to like process it, or maybe it's 8 cents. It's a lot of money, even on Super 8 during that time of like shooting it, buying the film, processing it, getting something to work with. But I think that you get the sense that those limitations made it that much more powerful because she knew it's like, all right, if I'm filming this, it's probably gonna have to be included in it.
Now, I think I really hooked into what she was doing with Reel 31, Niagara Falls, August 19th to 28th, 1983.
So if, you know, Reel 23, where she talks about very directly of, it's like her life, and then she's just like, I got out of the mental asylum.
That's right.
Like there's a lot of ellipses in her shorts that like, she's not editing these to build to a point, because oftentimes she's filming and she doesn't know where it's going. It's just like, oh, it's, you know, I'm filming a day of the documentary. And what's so powerful about the Niagara Falls trip is it's like, okay, you got this person raw at her, you know, lowest moment. And now this should be a happy moment. She's out with her family. They're going to Niagara Falls.
That's right.
She's not happy.
Right. And you're getting all of this footage of Niagara Falls. She's like, Niagara Falls, it's one of my favorite places. It's some of my fondest memories of childhood. She says that. Some of my fondest memories of childhood. There are tunnels behind the falls, terraces beneath them. And then you're driving through, you know, rural New York. You're seeing pleasant landscapes. And she says, I was still 30 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. And I don't think one cancels the other out exactly. Like, it's a very complicated emotional state that this reel is getting at. Like, I think she's happy to be at Niagara Falls, but she's not happy.
Yeah.
You know?
And it could also be like, she knows she should be happy. Maybe she's a little happy, but she feels she's not as happy as she should be.
Yeah.
Which, if people haven't gone through depressive episodes, that may sound like gibberish to you, but it's a very real thing.
Totally.
If you're in a situation and you're like, I should be much happier about this.
And then you start kind of beating yourself up.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah.
That I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. And so like this short, because the Reel 23 that comes before this is so raw, by connecting it to something that's very, you know, normal, a family trip, the emotions just continue through it, which then, you know, it hits so hard in the next one, which is called Emily Died.
Well, in the Niagara Falls episode, she notes that she's had her first niece, and she's now Auntie Anne, which is a brand new title.
Now, something that only came, like, you got to kind of pay a little bit of attention, though. She has a very large family of, like, brothers and sisters that have many children. And I think, you know, she finds joy in that. You get that through the short, but it's also a weight on her of, like, why don't I have that?
So I saw the title, Emily Died. It starts like any other one of these starts. She says, I'm 45 years old. For the past 10 years, I've been declared temporarily disabled. I live at my mother's house. I see a psychiatrist and social worker. She's sort of reminding you about her life. You're seeing birds pecking at seed on the ground. She's saying, oh, it's spring. I get bird feed for the birds.
Yeah, we see her garden. And we also cycle through a lot of her obsessions. Like, she talks about, she gets crushes on men. And, like, sometimes she got obsessed with Tom Baker, who played Doctor Who. And that's something that, like, lasted for decades. That she also, like, unfortunately, people that have bipolar often, you know, religious struggles, like, of Jesus and God. It's something that goes through. She never talks about a religious upbringing, but she'll bring up, like, Jesus and God and how that weighs so heavily on her.
Now, there's also a part where she says the ozone layer is disappearing and the people with air conditioning don't care. And we see her, like, driving her car through a city, and she's saying, I'm driving, I'm polluting, I'm helping destroy the ozone layer. And I sympathize with that, because it's like, we live in a world, okay? We live in a society.
You
folks.
have to do these things to live.
Yeah. You know, you gotta run the laundromat. You gotta take a plane somewhere. You gotta do all these things, and you're also constantly aware of, oh, there's a genocide here, and there's poverty there, and there's so much unhappiness, and there are a million ways I'm contributing to it. And to live in this world is to radically compartmentalize in a way that,
I mean, you would shut down if you didn't.
Yeah, it can make you feel like you're going insane if you stop to think about it at all. So I identified strongly with that. And then her niece dies.
And you don't see her niece in this short.
Yeah.
And there's no does she mention it at the beginning? I believe, yeah. Her opening narration talks about that her niece had to go to the hospital.
That's right.
But you don't see her.
Suddenly, she says, July 16th, Emily woke up, asked for her father for a glass of water, drank it, and died in his arms. The autopsy revealed she had an enlarged heart, but there was no reason for her death. And Emily was 3 years old. And it's like, just imagine it. It's like you're living your life, and your 3-year-old niece dies.
Yeah, who calls you Aunt Annie?
It's
which
like,
she mentions.
what are you supposed to do about this? It's horrible. How do you keep going after this?
And like how like she continues her diary, and you can see like there's like the manic of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. There's kind of a slide into like, is this what we do? Like, is this how we continue from this point? And like probably the most moving part of this doc is like, you're just in the garden and she's just screaming. She's like,
yeah,
I don't know how to express myself. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's awful. And there are gardens, there are cats.
And like you're seeing these beautiful flowers, and you hear her voice on the camcorder just screaming her niece's name. And she's like, I hope there's a heaven or there's something up there, because
I know. And then it's followed immediately by Reel 81, Mourning Emily, which
like Mourning Emily is like, oh, okay, so is she in a depressive funk the entire time? Like, she never gets out of it? And what's even sadder is like, no, life goes on. Like,
yeah,
she has to...
and that's what's so cruel.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, yeah, the world doesn't stop for you. You have to just keep going. And now I'm gonna go visit my sister and her husband.
Yeah, or their niece just died. And there's like footage of her going like, how do you like your new job? And he just like looks away, like he can't even like think about it.
Yeah, it's awful. And then also she says, like there's something where she says, it's been 10.5 years since I've made love with anybody. It's like the other problems also continue.
They continue. Like her obsession with weight. If anything, those elevate.
You get older and they just accumulate.
Well, yeah, we didn't talk about...
Life gets harder.
We didn't talk about this, that because of the way that we watch these shorts edited in this package, there's not like gradual like ramp up of her getting older. So there'll be you're going from reel 23 to reel 80. She will have aged a lot in that short. And she talks about it constantly. She's like, I was beautiful, and all I cared about was my weight, and now I'm here, I'm ugly. And she continually talks about like, she's focused on one true love. Like, I'm gonna meet one true love. It's gonna be one true love, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna have kids. And then she's like, I'm 47, I'm never gonna have kids. And she's just like spewing this on camera. But again, it's edited so propulsively, and then you'll have a moment of her on her bike being like, I just had a job interview, and then in her narration she goes, I did not get that job.
And yeah, I think this is what I would say. Like some people are probably listening to this and thinking, okay, life's miserable. Why would you watch this?
But that's not what it is.
And like life isn't only miserable.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things. We watched another one called My Cat, My Garden, 9/11.
Her last short.
Which is from 2001, so 11 years before she passed away. I don't know why she stopped.
So she stopped with reel 83, which covers, I believe, 3 years, and it may be the most that like one reel covered. No one knows why she stopped. She stopped. She made a few shorts here or there, and then she went radio silent for 15 years. But yeah, so the one about her cat is very much still in that diary mode.
And first of all, you see it, and you're struck by she's much older.
Yeah.
And of course she is.
Yeah.
Time has passed.
And I mean, as you see in the thing, she also seemed to struggle with alcoholism throughout her life.
Right. And this short, I mean, as a final film, it's a great encapsulation of everything, because it's in a very distilled 6-minute form, everything that we've seen. It's here's my garden, which, you get the sense the garden and the animal friends.
That's the only constant.
These are the things that she can depend on and that are keeping her sane. She has a cat who's older. She loves the cat. And then she has to put the cat down. And then you see the cat and she says to herself, what an act of violence to my loyal little friend.
And then she goes, I just have his body with me and I can't even put him in the ground because it's too cold.
And anybody who has ever had a pet who they've had to put down can identify with this, where it's like, you have to do it. Yeah. But then also you feel horrible about it because the cat can't consent.
Yeah.
The cat doesn't understand this. So it does feel like an act of disloyalty. But nevertheless, you only feel this way because you love the cat.
And 9/11 happened as well.
And 9/11 happened. We see shots of her TV.
Yep.
And we see Osama bin Laden on the TV. And there's something about that that's also so true. It's like, yeah, I have to put my cat down, I have my garden, and 9/11 is happening.
So I think, all this stuff is sad because there's no release. Like that happy ending she was looking for didn't seem to happen. Unless it happened in the last 15 years and she was happy, so she didn't need to make diary shorts anymore.
Yeah.
I doubt that very much.
But I mean, if you want to see somebody who, I think these movies really, really articulate the human condition.
I think absolutely. And that they're just diary films. They're classified under experimental cinema. You will see it and you will understand what it is because you see it every day.
Yeah, and
you'll not this raw.
You'll feel seen.
Yes, exactly. She got like a little bit of respect, but she didn't get any like major grants. She wasn't able to continue making films. So, and now all her films are just locked behind academia.
Well, when we said that we were doing this episode, I heard from a number of people who were happy, who were kind of like, "Oh, Anne Charlotte Robertson." So I'm glad that people are discovering the films, and she's becoming a bit better known.
Yeah. So, like 5 years from now, Criterion will put out a set that's like $150 of all of her shorts.
Yeah, yeah.
But people will see it, and I think it would be very difficult for you not to be moved by it.
Yeah.
It was interesting looking at, like, you watch these and you're like, how do I rate this less than like 5
I know.
Because it's so raw. Unless you just really dislike it. And you're like, I feel it's repetitive. It doesn't work for me. And to that I will say, boy, I wish you could feel a little bit more. So,
all right, letters.
As per usual, you can send us letters at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. And our first letter is from Benjamin Hartman. And he asks, hey, Justin and Will, do you guys have takes on Sylvester the Cat? He's not brought up all that much by Looney Tunes heads. Thanks for the wonderful podcast.
Sylvester the Cat.
I don't feel very strongly about him.
No, he's not my favorite. I mean, I love the early Tweety cartoons, the ones like A Tale of Two Kitties. I feel like Friz Freleng gentrified Tweety just a little bit.
So do you want like a meaner Tweety? Is that what you're interested in? That's what,
Yeah, a little bit.
Because the thing with Sylvester is that you're like, what is the angle on Sylvester?
So Sylvester's okay, but it's like, why have Sylvester when you have Daffy?
Like when the Looney Tunes cartoon would start and it'd be a Sylvester, I'd be like, I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they're very repetitive. And then also when you get to the ones where it's Sylvester and the kangaroo.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I mean, I do think that Sylvester, he flourished in a time when the Looney Tunes were just a little bit on the decline. So the cartoons were getting really repetitive, the same basic premise over and over again. But hey, look, you put on a Sylvester cartoon, I'm fine with it. I'll watch it.
Yeah. And will it be the one where Tweety turns into a giant monster, which seemed to be always in syndication when I watched it? When I think of Sylvester, like I'm thinking of what makes me laugh about him? It's him being in pain.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not really any angle. I mean, he is, because he wants to eat Tweety, there is some like malevolence there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the kangaroo ones, what's fun about those is that he's trying to impress his son and he can't.
Oh, I forgot about his son. What is his son called?
I can't remember, but it's important to remember that Sylvester blasted a huge load into a woman and
I'm glad we can say that on the episode about Anne Charlotte Robertson.
Yeah.
We work in many tones over one episode.
That's right.
And the thing is, like, you can have Sylvester or you could have the Roadrunner.
Oh.
And the Roadrunner has a game where he thinks he's the smartest in the world and is trying to put things together.
Absolutely. And also, like, so Daffy is like, he's a huge ego.
I saw some anti-Daffy slander going around on social media recently.
Who doesn't like Daffy?
They were pro-Donald Duck, anti-Daffy. I say you can love both.
I think so, too.
They said Daffy is a simpering loser, to which I say, yes, that's why we love him.
Yeah.
And there's, as we said many times, there's many different modes of Daffy.
That's right.
There's like, there's Wacky Daffy.
Yeah.
And then there's, I prefer it. I like both flavors, but I like sniveling under Bugs Bunny Daffy.
Yeah,
who's pathetic.
The one who is jealous of Bugs. Yeah,
the one who's going to be caught in the rabbit season.
Duck season.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love all Daffys are beautiful.
Do you think they're the same Daffy? Do you think that?
I think so. It's like, we can be different people.
You can be young, and then it sours when the wackiness leads to nothing.
Well, you also see Bugs Bunny himself becomes less manic as time goes on.
Right. Well, that's because every cartoon character was like that. But did Daffy last longer as a manic character than Bugs Bunny did?
I don't know. We'll have to throw this over to the experts.
I wonder when the slimification. I think of it as the Chuck Jonesification of those characters. But is he the linchpin of that? Or
I think what's important is that budgets got slashed.
Yes.
So there was less room for like the really expressive animation that you had in the 30s
like Tex
and 40s.
Avery, Bugs, and
Bob Clampett.
Yeah, Bob Clampett.
And I think Chuck Jones was the one out of all those guys who...
I got an angle on it.
Yeah. He figured out a really clever way to approach the reduced budget.
Mm-hmm.
And Friz Freleng, who is a god, mind you, Friz Freleng is the guy who makes the trains run on time.
Well, yeah, he's the mechanical, gag within the context of the short.
And it's like, every episode of the Bugs and Tweety show, you'll get one great Chuck Jones cartoon, and you get 5 pretty good Friz Frelengs.
What's great about saying that is that no one will ever watch the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show ever again. You had to be in the 90s on a Sunday afternoon, and you would turn it on, and you'd see those guys in, suits.
Overture, curtain lights.
They come out, pat it out, get it to 21 minutes.
Yeah.
How many shorts would be in one block? 5?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. All right. Our next question, subject line, Memories Within Miss Aggie. Aggie?
Oh, yeah. Memories Within Miss Aggie. So for those who don't remember, and why would you? Well, actually, maybe you would remember it because it's a great film.
We talked about it in our Gerard Damiano episode.
Yeah, like 6 years ago, maybe. We did an episode on Gerard Damiano, the director of Deep Throat. And in the immediate years after Deep Throat, Gerard Damiano became a bit of an artiste. And Memories Within Miss Aggie is his artsiest film.
The letter from Russell goes, I just discovered your podcast, which I love, and am binging episodes. Would not recommend. I'm 68 years old and saw Miss... Man, our oldest listener, 68 years old?
I think we may have older.
Oh, you really?
Yeah.
That are not, relatives of some kind who are listening out of pity.
I think we might have older because we've done a lot of topics that are like really forgotten subjects.
But I mean regular listeners.
Oh,
not ones that would just like stumble upon us and be like, they're completely wrong about, I don't know, the Three Stooges or something like that.
Maybe.
Or getting furious and writing a negative Mae West review on whatever platform, on the Mae West Reddit forums.
This is the downside about doing episodes about the sheer number of topics we do, is because oftentimes if you're searching for a podcast about Mae West, we're the only ones who have done it.
Well, maybe not the only ones. I'm
We're
sure
the top one who've done it.
Okay.
I don't think Blank Check has done Mae West.
No, I don't think they'll be doing Mae West anytime soon.
Yeah. And so if you're just searking for Mae West
and you get like 25 minutes, how can you encapsulate someone's life in 25 minutes? Which I say, we're not trying to.
Yeah.
These episodes, and I guess I'm saying the thesis statement of the whole podcast for the 1000th time, are meant to be introductions. That's it.
Yeah. For us, as much as you.
As much as you. Anyway, the letter continues. I'm 68 years old and saw Miss Aggie in an art theater in New Haven. I was underage but knew the manager. It was definitely promoted as a hybrid, a porn and art film, and was clearly inspired by Faulkner's A Rose for Emily as well as Bergman. Kim Pope was clearly given a B.B. Anderson haircut. It definitely played in theaters where jerking off was frowned upon.
Now, this is interesting because we did this episode 6 years ago,
and we probably asked this question.
We were probably speculating, did people, like, how was Memories Within Miss Aggie marketed? Was it marketed to porn consumers only?
Now, usually me and Will... sigh a little bit where we get an email that is a direct response to something we do not remember.
Yeah, because and this will happen. People will say to us, how could you have said, and it'll be something we said 7 years ago.
Or how could you have forgotten, or how could you have missed?
However, if the subject is Memories Within Miss Aggie.
You're all in about you being at a porn theater and where you saw it?
Yeah. Send us any Gerard Damiano related comments or questions
now, have you found any, I'm sure because you have done more research on this stuff, like people in art, I know Deep Throat had that porn chic label to it, but I'm surprised Miss Aggie played in art theaters.
I think several of Damiano's films, like I know that Story of Joanna, which was another kind of artsier one that he did after, that got some mainstream bookings. I looked into the Variety archives for Gerard Damiano once, and the last movie of his they reviewed all of his movies from Deep Throat up to Odyssey, which came out in like 77 maybe, and then after that they were like, okay, we're done with this. Porn chic's over.
Well, it was basically like, we have video, we can make it cheap, we can pump it out. Stop, we're done. It's not worth it anymore. I'm really interested to hear that perspective is out there.
Actually, my other favorite story is The Passions of Carol, which is Sean Costello's classic pornographic take on...
We also did an episode on that.
Yeah, his pornographic take on A Christmas Carol. Apparently, when Sean Costello was making this movie, he was so high on it. He was like, this could be huge.
We're going to open it. We're going to rent 4-wall theater. We're going to make it look like Christmas. We're going to...
So he four-walled the Quad in New York, and it played there to no one.
No one was interested in it at all.
And when you watch The Passions of Carol, which I love, but you would
not an arty film.
No.
Yeah, Sean Costello would never.
It's pretty pornographic.
Rest in peace. The thing about Gerard Damiano's films is there's no joy in the sex often.
Yeah.
It is a mechanical thing smothered under Christian guilt.
They're depressing.
Catholic guilt, yeah.
Yeah.
This also reminded me, this is not an email, but it was going around recently as a TikTok. Did you see this? Someone posted I saw a touching scene from a 1973 movie where a young man comes out to his blue-collar widow father. The father told his son he loves him and proud of who he is. I thought it was really moving, so I looked up what movie it was, and it was from a porno. It's from 1973's The Experiment, directed by Gorton Hall.
I'm not familiar with it at all.
Has an 8.5 out of 10 rating on IMDb. And if you watch this clip, it's really good. And the old father is played by the director of the film as well.
Sounds great. Well, if people want to see a beautiful film about a son connecting with his mother, can I recommend Taboo?
Do not take this recommendation seriously under Will. Even though Vinegar Syndrome has a deluxe special edition with 4 audio commentary tracks on it.
It's beautiful.
So a little bit more older listener. And by older, I mean anyone older than me and Will, which won't be very many people in a few years.
Yeah.
To this letter from Gus. He goes, "Hey, Justin and Will, as one of your Gen Z listeners."
Hell yeah.
Wait, so Gen Z, how old is that? Is that 18?
First of all, there is no generation younger than millennial. I'm not interested in these lies, these rumors that there are people younger than us.
So wait, it goes Gen Z,
then
Alpha.
Then Alpha.
Yeah.
And then after that, well, there's nothing.
To be determined.
The world will be over.
The world will be over. I just wanted to tell you how inspiring your podcast to me. As anyone who has a computer, I can pretty easily watch whatever movie I want. This is good. This is a question I ask a lot about on this podcast. What I don't have, and what your show gives me, is an understanding of the history of film culture. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
Most film-related interactions typically happen over social media these days, which gives everything a sense of ephemerality, or at least the feeling that there's something to prove. I will say, if you read those old zines, there's still something to prove in letters and articles that were written.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Your show has disabused me of the notion that this is even a remotely new phenomenon and helped me to understand that film nerds have always been this parochial and vituperative.
Vituperative.
Yes. People should know that any big complicated word I've said, I've had to stop the podcast and ask Will, how do I pronounce this?
Okay.
While also teaching me that those in film-related spaces today who try to promote their underseen favorites are fighting as much of an uphill battle now as they were when you were my age.
Well, I'll tell you, when Andrew Saris first dropped Notes on the Auteur Theory on Twitter, Pauline Kael quote tweeted it and dunked it, and she got even more likes than the original post. And ever since then, they've been subtweeting each other for years.
It's can't we go back to the good old days when it was just social media was 5 people just dunking on each other,
right.
and it would take a
week. And they would do it in the pages of the New Yorker.
Yes, and they were paid absurd amounts of money to do it.
That's right.
I think that it's always helpful to be reminded that the internet and its children have not had as much of a determining effect on human behavior as some people, especially establishment figures, would like for us to believe.
That's true.
I also have a couple of episode ideas. And then he recommends, and let's get your take on this, Will. I don't think this ever come up. Joseph L. Mankiewicz.
Oh.
Barefoot Contessa was a writer. He did Cleopatra as well.
All About Eve.
All About Eve, yes.
Yeah.
Do you like his films? Or have they kind of been...
Well, I like All About Eve. I would be interested. It's funny. I mean, I guess I sort of got interested to film through all the people that the French critics liked. Mm-hmm. Your Howard Hawkses, your John Fords.
Wasn't Godard a Mankiewicz head? Didn't he talk about him a lot? There's a famous review of Barefoot Contessa, I thought.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably true. I'd certainly be down for it. I don't know enough about Joseph Mankiewicz, though.
I know that his films are long, stagey, and kind of theatrical in their presentation for the few that I've seen.
Right. They're very literary.
Yes.
The screenplays are very beautiful.
He also asked us if we would ever do John Huston. And I looked and I was like, have we done John? I could have sworn we had.
I'd love to do John Huston. I mean, it's a hit and miss filmography.
Well, let's just say the ultimate journeyman.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because a lot of those Cahiers du Cinema guys, he was a positif director.
Oh,
not so much
yeah.
Cahiers du Cinema. So yeah, there were certainly people who had their hackles up, but man, John Huston at his best.
I mean, undeniable.
The Asphalt Jungle.
Yep. Even Man Who Would Be King.
Yeah.
It's all there. Some, early on where he's hungry and he's putting it out there. He was a screenwriter coming up in the ranks. Later on where he's sitting looking at the racing forms directing Annie.
Yeah.
This was actually written in a book about an AD. They're like, John Huston's not even directing. What the hell's going on?
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen Fat City.
Great movie. Stacy Keach.
I want to see it.
He also asked if we would ever do William Wyler, who I'm a big fan of. We've seen a bunch of William Wyler.
I like William Wyler, yeah, for sure.
Got that dusty biography sitting on my shelf. Oh, you know what's great about reading that Edmund Goulding book, doing the episode? I'm like, I'm never going to read this book again.
Yeah.
I don't need it on my shelf.
There's an interesting theme in the directors he suggests. It's
journeyman, Hollywood old
school journeyman from the 50s who were recognized as great in their time.
Yes, and oftentimes, I don't think William Wyler was a writer-director, though. I know John Huston was for a period, and Mankiewicz was, definitely.
But these are like Oscar-winning guys at the time. And, somebody like Howard Hawks or Alfred Hitchcock, obviously they were successful, but they weren't taken seriously as artists by American critics the same way that those guys were. And the tables turned a little bit after. And
then he mentions a name I'm not familiar with at all, Howard Bruckner, who made the documentary I Will Talk as Will Looks Up Who This Is.
That's right.
He made Robert Wilson in the Civil War, which has recently been restored by his nephew, Aaron, for a forthcoming Criterion release, and old Hollywood's messy and interesting attempts to adapt the dark works of Eugene O'Neill for a mass audience in films like Dudley Nichols' compromise Morning Becomes Electra and John Forbes' magnum opus, The Long Voyage Home. Oh, so is he a screenwriter?
Oh.
That makes sense. So, yeah, I've never heard anything about him, but I'm seeing here, like even Robert Wilson and the Civil War. Maybe, you know what? He was a theater director. That's why, because we're looking up on Letterboxd that he's not showing up. And that's why I pointed out the Eugene O'Neill thing. I was like, were they adaptations of some kind for the screen? And no. Well, you know what? I'll add him to the list because that definitely sounds very interesting. I've gotten weird emails recently where people will be pitching us on new things that are being released, but they'll start it with like, very much enjoyed your episode about Pauly Shore, but can I interest you in this filmmaker? And I was like, we don't really do like new ones like that.
Okay, I see. It's probably a publicist who search.
It's always publicists.
Right. They search for particular keyword topics.
Yeah. And then they're like, let's reach out.
That's nice that they went the extra step to find a thing that we did.
Yes. So that's nice. But I don't think that's what this is. Or if it is, that's a long con to play. And I appreciate your gusto.
Here's the level we're at. We're at the level where we do get emails from publicists, but never any good ones.
No, not the stuff we want. It'll be like, oh, you want to check out this new Hot Docs documentary? I'm like, no, why would I? It doesn't really interest me, but...
Sorry, Hot Docs.
I appreciate Rest in peace, Hot Docs, basically. So thank you very much for the letter, Gus, and I hope that you spread this to your Gen Z fellowship so we can get thousands and thousands of more listeners. So again, if you want to send us letters, it's at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. Last week, we didn't say it, I don't think, but our Patreon episode, speaking of Journeyman, was on auteurs.
That's right.
We defined what it was.
What is an auteur?
Yep.
What isn't an auteur? And we just talked ourselves in circles.
Yep. Well, basically, we just made up our own definition. And you can't argue with us because we made it up.
We answered the question, is Ridley Scott an auteur?
Yes.
And you'll have to see the Patreon to
find out.
Yeah.
And this week, it's what we've been watching. If you pay $5 a month, it's not per episode, ladies and gentlemen. It's the one I just mentioned and the new one that came out this week. And
it's years and years and years.
Let me sweeten the pot. Years of it. Is there commentary tracks? I think I posted them on YouTube too, but they're lost. Nobody listens to them on YouTube.
There's so much stuff on the Patreon. It's the only way you can hear us talk about what's something we've talked about.
Did we talk about Andy Lau, our visit on the Patreon?
We talked about seeing Sylvester Stallone's artwork.
Oh, that's, I think, one of my favorite episodes. We went to go see Sylvester Stallone. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
TIFF.
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
We went to go see his artwork, and then we recorded a live because we were just buzzing from it episode about our interpretation.
Sitting in the TIFF press lounge, just with a microphone.
So Stallone could have turned the corner and seen and be like, those guys.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So check all that stuff out. Next week, we are doing Costa Gavras, the filmmaker most famous for Zed or Z, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Also Missing with Jack Lemmon.
And some films that you'll look and be like, he directed that? Like
Mad City.
We got to watch Mad City, right?
Let's do Mad City. Oh, yeah.
He directed some amazing films as well. I'm curious to read into how he got started because his first film, The Sleeping Car Murder, is a proto-giallo that has a murderer's row of like famous French actors in it. And I'm like, wait, how did he direct commercials? What were his connections at that point before he went and started to make very kind of like politically angry cinema mixed in with, you know, kind of, can I do a mainstream attempt at this and not step on too many shoes? He actually did an adaptation of a Richard Stark novel called The Axe in 2005, and that same book is being adapted by Park Chan-wook in his new movie, which we can't really speak of Park Chan-wook because he's out of the Writers Guild.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that
in the post-show.
In the post-show. So, yeah. Until next week, the balcony is closed.
My name's Justin Decloux.
I'm Will Sloan.
Thanks for listening.
So a minute ago, we were saying that Park Chan-wook got kicked out of the Writers Guild of America because allegedly he wrote during the writer's strike.
Him and Canada's own Don McKellar.
Don McKellar. So I looked into this a little more closely, and apparently he actually, well, according to him, he actually didn't write, but what he did was edit a show that was in post-production, and that this was built around a definition of what constitutes writing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is that Robert Downey Jr. show, which
no one watched and no one is talking about.
So
doesn't exist.
Folks, I was just learning that this even came out because I remember when it was
they did a big advertising push.
Yeah, and I thought, like, you know, it's Robert Downey Jr. in a Park Chan-wook show. This will be huge. Mm-hmm. It's one of the biggest movie stars we have. One of the most interesting directors we have.
Multiple roles in the show.
Yeah, like freaking Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, the clumps. That's what I should have gone for.
Yeah.
But anyway, it came out. Nobody watched it. I guess Don McKellar is just the kiss of death.
Yeah, I think that Park Chan-wook maybe directed a few episodes. He didn't direct all of it.
But it seems that it came down to editing. Now, I'm not here to say what constitutes writing, but what I am here to say is I'm sure there are people who did a lot worse than him, who are a lot more powerful than him.
I mean, if it's like put everything down, if the union says it, you put everything down.
Yes.
Like you don't do anything.
Right. But I'm sorry, there were a lot of people who didn't put everything down.
No.
People like, I'm not naming names.
Hey, I wonder why they went after Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar. Right. They have no power in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, it's like Park Chan-wook, as he said in his interview, it's like, I could have fought this, but it was a lot of money, and I was shooting something in South Korea at the time. Yeah. So why bother?
Now, who is really the person who got put on the firing line is Edward Drake. He is the one, I don't think you've ever seen any of his movies. Bay Street Video listeners will know, the only one who ever made an attempt was his Bruce Willis film.
Oh, he's Detective Christmas or whatever.
Detective Night, which every one of these Bruce Willis films that Bruce Willis is... I believe he directed the last released Bruce Willis film.
Which is not an honor you want.
No. Is that like each film took place on a different holiday.
Right.
Very high concept. He wrote and directed those films. He was also very much involved in the Geezer Teaser, whatever that guy's name was.
Randall Emmett.
Bruce Willis Exploitation Machine, which is like,
yeah.
But he's also one of the only guys who would post on Instagram being like, I'm trying to make the best film that I can. Like, I'm trying here, guys. Now, I looked at I remember being like, I like this guy's movies. Never gave more than 2.5 stars to any of his films.
Well, although 2.5 stars on
or a late period Bruce.
Yeah, on the curve, that's like 7.5 stars.
They were expelled from the Writers Guild, right?
Really?
I
didn't know that. Oh, sorry. Park Chan-wook was.
Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar, and because I believe there were, I think the body. I don't want to speak out of turn. They voted for them just to be like a verbal warning, basically.
Yeah, or a suspension or something.
And they're like, no, they're being kicked out.
So they were made an example of.
Yeah.
Which seems unfair to me.
Could they have gone after like a bigger dog that
well, let's just say
like a Marvel machine.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, because he was shooting Deadpool and Wolverine at that time.
Yeah, and come on.
Yeah.
Like he was doing improvs.
Mm-hmm.
That's writing.
I'm sure they'd be like, well, they got cleared by... And you know why they got cleared? Probably because something's going on. Shut it all down. Nothing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, I also know that Park Chan-wook can still work in Hollywood. He just can't vote in the...
Oh, wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like, you're out.
Yeah, I think he can still work in Hollywood if he wants.
Okay. And man, if I was him, I'm like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
South Korea's there. I can just make movies there.
Yeah.
Did you see that Robert Pattinson?
But Mickey 17? Yeah. No, I haven't.
Nah, me neither.
I know.
I watched 30 minutes on a plane and I was like, I'll get back to this. And I never did.
Well, as a friend of the podcast said, Bong Joon-ho's American films are mostly fun because you get to see American actors do Wong Jing acting.
They do. So big. Do you think people in South Korea is like, that's how all the actors in his movies act?
Shout out to Doc for that, by the way. I thought that was a good observation.